This channel is supported by Truefire. Truefire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses. Some of this is going to sound a bit weird, especially if you know about an SM57 to some extent. Like, for me, I've been very sniffy about what an SM57 might do, and it's been quite eye-opening. I bought this at the same time that I bought a Roya R121. Of course, this is an SM57. It's as inexpensive, as a mic could be, more or less, under £100. The Roya was like £1,400. And it's actually the SM57 that has given me more things to think about and is the more interesting choice, I think. And not only that, it came out in 1965, the same time that this Fender Pro Reverb was made. It's been used, apparently, in every American presidential speech since then. Yeah, probably the most ubiquitous mic there is. Why did I have such a stupid opinion about it, like this can't make great tones? I'm not sure. I guess it's just been for me kind of like a little bit of a joke, like an engineer just stick an SM57 somewhere in front of your amp at a gig and then you wonder why your thing doesn't maybe sound like you'd hope. It's not the SM57's fault, is what I've learned. What I was expecting really with the 57 is that I would have to spend quite a lot of time and be careful around mic placement to get any sort of good results. It's actually not been the case for me. The reason that I got an SM57 was because Tom Bukovac had commented on some videos of mine saying, if you had like an SM57 and an R121 here in the amp the way that God intended, you probably never use a modeler again. Now, it has been quite interesting, particularly the 57 side of things, because actually if I use a 57 in isolation, it works really well for me, and it's the sort of thing that probably a lot of you have already got one, and if you've not tried a 57, I would say it's maybe the first mic that a guitarist might be worth buying. Yeah, as I said, I thought that it might be difficult to get good tones with the 57, just because, you look at the EQ, there's like a little bit of a push, in the higher end, and I was like, well, that's surely going to accentuate kind of fizzy stuff and bits and pieces like that. Now, what I think the SM57 doesn't necessarily do is make a bad guitar tone record well, but I think if you dialed in your guitar tone to a level which is like a decent guitar tone, the 57 can do a really good job of that. capturing that. Like, it's not going to transform something in the high end necessarily, but it can do like a pretty good, honest job of just, you know, is that what that thing sounds like? I think it was Riftamps that had done a video, Chris, if you're watching, with Ainsley Lister, and I just saw, like, I was like, that's a really good guitar tone. Looked at what was happening. It was just a 57. So right, I've got an EV speaker here in a cab. What I do is just sort of, you might be able to see there the cone. So it's off axis, sort of pointing in that direction. Because there's just one mic, the phasing stuff isn't going to be too much to worry about. You know, maybe something like that. Not straight on, but something like that. Seems to work quite well for me. Like, it's very bright in the room. And the thing is that sometimes I'd be dialing things in and it'd be a bit like, well, it sounds good in the room, and then when I put a mic on it, it was a bit too boomy. I don't have the poshest audio interface in the world, but it does have these Neve transformers on it, which I have turned on, but then it's just a case of just setting it so it's not going to clip. And that's a blues driver. I would say that's quite like a sharp sound in the room. It's not rocket science to me, like, now having experienced it with the 57, you know, just taking like a, not even like a lot of time, just put that in front of an amp, angle it away from the cone a little bit. It sounds good to me, and it's no surprise to me now why people just choose to use a 57. Like, it just kind of works and is inexpensive. So yeah, for me, it has kind of blown me away. I'm sorry to say it, but it's been like a thing where I wouldn't have expected to like an SM57 as much as I have. But it's absolutely, you know, been perfect. You know, if I want to record some amps at home, an SM57 is by no means something you should overlook. There are other choices out there, but it's absolutely stellar for this kind of job. And that's the reason that it's kind of endured for, you know, 60 years. It just works really well. I bought one, I'm happy with it. I'm happier than I thought I'd ever be with an SM57. There we go. Do you like an SM57? If so, why? Do you use one? Have you got a preference for different mics for this similar sort of job? Love to know your thoughts in the comments. Cheers for stopping by.